Taylor Townsend's dress was very on theme today because things got heated in her second round win over Jelena Ostapenko. I'll explain all the chaos that went down and share Taylor and Jelena's responses to the situation. Plus, I'll highlight third round test on the horizon for both Aryna Sabalenka and Elena Rybakina and talk all the top seeds that fell on the men's side in 5 sets. What's good? My name's Christian Bassnight and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you haven't yet already, make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell so you are notified when I post my Day 5 US Open recap video. So the US Open, it just keeps delivering with all the drama as we were treated to a spectacle on court 11 between Taylor Townsend and Jelena Ostapenko. Townsend defeated the 25th seed Ostapenko 7-5, 6-1 to punch her ticket into the US Open third round. Jelena got out to a fast start and led 3-love in the opening set, and she served for the first set at 5-4 but got broken at 15 by Townsend. And the drama started that very next point at 5-all, where Taylor hit a net court forehand that put her into a good position to win the point. Jelena then stood at the net and waited for an apology, but Taylor turned right around and went onto the baseline to serve. Here you could hear Jelena complain about Taylor saying nothing or not apologizing for the net court, and I heard her call her uneducated at this point. This was really the turning point of the match, this whole net court mini saga or drama, as Townsend only lost one more game after that. Clearly, Elena was still very much pressed over that whole ordeal and tried to check Taylor for not apologizing for the net court. You could hear Taylor say, when asked by ESPN of her side of the story, Townsend had this to say.
You know, it's competition. People get upset when they lose, and you can't. Some people say bad things. She told me I have no class, I have no education, and to see what happens when we get outside the U.S. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I beat her in Canada outside the U.S. I beat her in New York outside the U.S. So let's see what else she has to say.
Now, that was a great response from Taylor, but New York is in the United States, but I'm gonna give her a pass because I know she had just finished her match and she was maybe a little bit tired, so I'll give her a pass. But she is right. Her last match against Ostapenko was a straightforward 6-2, 6-1 victory in Toronto, which was, of course, outside the United States. Now, Ostapenko, she made a few IG stories post about the whole ordeal afterwards, and her responses were very interesting to say the least. She said, just a small update about the match. Today after the match, I told my opponent that she was very disrespectful and she had a net ball in a very deciding moment and didn't say sorry. But her answer was that she doesn't have to say sorry at all. There are some rules in tennis which most of the players follow, and it was the first time ever that this happened to me on tour. If she plays in her homeland, it doesn't mean that she can behave and do whatever she wants. In the beginning of the match, all players are supposed to start warming up on the baseline. The opponent came out straight away and started the warm-up at the net, which is very disrespectful and against the rules of a tennis match. That's not true. Anyways, thanks to all my fans for your support. I will come back stronger. Situations like that motivate me to work even harder. That was a horrible response. I can't even be like, that was bad. That was really bad. Jelena was just salty that the match was slipping from her fingers. You would think that Taylor caught her out of her name. This is all because Taylor didn't apologize for a net court. Are you serious? There is nothing in the rule book that states that a player has to apologize for a net court. Venus Williams, she barely apologized for net courts, and it was never a big drama. And it's not like the ball barely dribbled over the net and Jelena couldn't reach it. Jelena still had to play on the ball. Also, that bit about her complaining that Taylor warmed up at the net and that it was like against the rules. Taylor has always done that before matches. If it was against the rules, then the umpire would have said, hey, you can't do that. That was again, a horrible response from Ostapenko. Like, I don't know what was going on with her and painting it as if she were a victim after she disrespected Taylor and said that she was uneducated because she didn't apologize for a net court. That's ridiculous. But anyways, Taylor talked about the whole ordeal in her press conference. I'll share a few quotes from her. She said, when the tables turned, it all of a sudden became an issue. So I chalked it it up to competition. I chalk it up to being upset, and she pulled out all the stops to try and break the momentum. Sometimes people do that, but it is what it is. Still, there's no beef, but again, like you guys saw, I didn't back down because you're not going to insult me, especially after I carried myself a certain type of way with nothing but respect. If I show respect to you, I expect respect as well. That's just the fact of the matter. Now, there were a few people who accused Ostapenko of being racist because she called Townsend uneducated, but I think Taylor had the perfect response to that. She said, I can only speak on how I handled the situation, and how I handled it is someone who was upset about the outcome that occurred. You lost, and you're upset about that. I stood up for myself, and I kept in mind in that moment how I wanted to portray myself and how I wanted to show up. And if my son were to see this interaction, how would he view it? Proud of the way that I handled the situation. I'm very proud as a black woman being out here representing myself and representing us and our culture. I make sure that I do everything that I can to be the best representation possible every time I step on the court and even off the court. So I can't speak about how she felt about it. That's something that you're going to have to ask her. I didn't take it in that way, but also, you know, there has been a stigma in our community of not being educated in all the things when it's the furthest thing from the truth. The thing that I'm most proud of is that I let my racket talk, because ultimately I'm the one sitting here in front of you guys, moving on to the next round, getting the next check, moving on, being able to still be here and speak to you guys. And that's what's most important. She's packed up and she's gone. I'm here, and that's the only thing that matters. Again, perfect response. It was the response of an educated individual. So props to Townsend. And it's ironic because Ostapenko, her response wasn't really giving much educated, while Taylor's definitely gave so. Not only did Taylor's racking do the talking, but her talking did the talking. Her actions afterwards did the talking as well. And I agree with Taylor's point of view. I'm not going to outright say that this is racist, but definitely maybe racial undertones. Ostapenko, she has had a few odd run-ins with a few players like Ayla Tomljanovic and Victoria Azarenka, to name a few. And like Taylor said in her press conference, though, I think this is good for sports, having a little bit of spice and, you know, edgy moments, because a lot of people are talking about this, and it's going to get more eyes on not only Taylor, but the U.S. Open overall. Now, this is not a good look for Ostapenko at all, and really I don't have much sympathy for the backlash that is probably coming her way, because again, that response was awful. And it's going to be worse for her now because the Shade Room covered it and posted it. And I think this could be worse than the whole Sabalenka backlash after her press conference comments at Roland Garros. And really, this was much worse than that. So
you are done out here. They gonna get you. They gonna get you next.
And I think it's kind of iconic that this all happened during the HBCU day on the grounds of the U.S. Open, because Court 11 was lit. And watching the aftermath of the match, Taylor, she was really riling up the crowd, and I loved seeing all those black people get behind her amidst all the drama, and they were getting really into it. Y'all need to go back and watch that. And this screenshot killed me, though, because you have the auntie on the left with the Ostapenko shirt, and then a few of the other women in the front, they're just absolutely shook by the whole thing. It was an absolute movie. Again, go back and watch the replay and the aftermath of this on ESPN Plus. You will not be disappointed. And Taylor's IG post was also a masterpiece, truly. Her song choice, Nuck If You Buck, If You Know, You Know. Again, with this being HBCU Day. And then also the caption, she said, belt to add, brought the fire. Some people can't take the heat. Taylor. Townsend, by the way, she next faces fifth seed Mira Andreeva, who dominated Anastasia Potapova. Speaking of Sabalenka, I did talk about her a little bit earlier. She also moved into the third round as she defeated Polina Kudermetova 7-6, 6-2. This was another shaky match from Sabalenka, kind of reminiscent of her opening round match, but it was a little bit more competitive because Kudermetova is a solid player, a better player than Rebecca Masarova. And Sabalenka was pretty error-prone in the opening set. She hit 18 unforced errors to 12 winners, and the backhand, I think, was still a glaring issue. And just overall, she doesn't seem to be as balanced, especially on that side. Veronica, she had a couple of chances to take the opening set. To be honest, she went 1 for 7 on break points, but credit to Sabalenka, she raised her level whenever her back was against the wall. And her serve, it was a good serve performance from Sabalenka, I must say. And once it got to our tiebreaker, I knew that the opening set was Sabalenka's, as she now improves to 19-1 in 2025 in tiebreakers and has now won 17 tiebreakers in a row, which is incredible. In the second set, Sabalenka improved her second serve points won drastically, as it bumped up those numbers to 80% second serve points won. And she also cleaned up her act from the ground in set number 2, hitting 6 winners to 4 unforced errors. Sabalenka will be happy to get through this match in straight sets for sure, but she still needs to step it up because her next opponent is 31st seed Leylah Fernandez. Fernandez is coming off a tough 2-6, 6-3, 6-2 comeback victory over Elsa Jackmont. Their lone meeting, Sabalenka and Fernandez's, was here at the U.S. Open in 2021 in the semifinals, where Fernandez won a topsy-turvy roller coaster match 6-4 in the third set. I think that Leylah has a legit chance to get the upset here. She is coming in on with more confidence here, winning that 500 title in D.C., knocking off the likes of Pegula and Rybakina. And I also think that Fernandez has the game to trouble Sabalenka because she can, take the ball early and rush Sabalenka and exploit that shakier backhand of the top seed and defending champion. But still, I will be giving Sabs the slight edge to take this one in 3 sets. I do think that the revenge factor will be on Sabalenka's mind, even though the match was 4 years ago. Plus, even though Sabalenka is not at her A game, I think her B game is better and should get her through. Now, the 2021 U.S. Open champion, Emma Raducanu, has been looking excellent. She dispatched of Indonesian qualifier Janice Jen 6-2, 6-1 in an hour. The stats were tremendous from Raducanu. She hit 8 aces, 0 double faults, 16 winners to 8 unforced errors. Truly a flawless performance. And my pick of having her go through to the quarterfinals is looking good right now, although her pat there is pretty brutal still. She now faces Elena Rybakina, the 9th seed, and the last time these two faced off, it was not pretty for Raducanu at all. She only won 1 game in their 2022 Sydney opening round match, but I think this time Emma will win at least 12 games. I'm going to be having Emma win this match. I'm going to be sticking with her again to take down Rybakina. Yes, she's been playing well all summer. However, she did not look all that impressive in her 6-3, 7-6 win over Teresa Valentova, and also the Kazakh has yet to reach a U.S. Open second week. So again, having Raducanu take it. But overall, this is a really tough section here because the winner of Rybakina and Raducanu faces the winner of Paulina Vondrousova, who both earned solid straight sets victories over Americans. Jasmine, she defeated 17-year-old Eva Jovic 6-3, 6-3, while Vondrousova defeated the 32nd ranked McCartney Kessler 7-6, 6-2. In contrast, a section that looks pretty open is Jessica Pegula's. JPEG scored back-to-back victories for the first time since winning Bad Homburg when she defeated Anna Blinkova 6-1, 6-3. The 4th seed is guaranteed to not face another seed at least until the quarterfinals, as both Ludmila Samsonova and Belinda Bencic bit the dust to Priscilla Hahn and An Lee, respectively. Pegula can't look too far ahead, though, as she does face 3-time finalist Victoria Azarenka in round 3. And Vika, she really kind of popped up and gagged it with this U.S. Open run to the 3rd round because she really haven't heard much from her since Wimbledon. She hadn't played since Wimbledon, but she just scored a solid 6-3, 6-3 victory over Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. Plus, the head-to-head between Pegula and Azarenka is tied at 3 apiece, so I could see Azarenka getting this win. I think she has a solid chance. Speaking of Americans, Emma Navarro, she really impressed me today. I must give her flowers because I thought for sure that but I thought that she would lose to Katie McNally, but she mollywopped McNally, winning 6-2, 6-1. The 3rd round will not be easy for Emma, though, because she now gets a Wimbledon third round rematch against Barbora Krejcikova, which should be intriguing. I will be going with Barbie K to win this one because even in that Wimbledon match, while she lost in 3 sets, Barbora was still right there with Navarro despite her struggling immensely with her health. But I think it should still be a tight one. On the men's side, 5 seeds bit the dust on day 4, and they all lost in tough 5-setters. Number 11 seed Holger Rune, he fell to qualifier and tour veteran Jan-Lennart Struff 7-6, 2-6, 6-3, 4-6, 7-5. Not really too surprising because Rune has always struggled here at the U.S. Open. In fact, he's never made the second week here. 12th seed and 2022 finalist Casper Ruud lost to Belgian Raphael Collignon 6-4, 3-6, 3-6, 3-6, 6-4, 7-6. Clignon is ranked 107 in the world, so not a great loss for Ruud. And really, aside from that Madrid title, this season has been a little bit of a letdown for the Norwegian. 18th seed Alejandro Davidovich Fokina lost to Artur Rinderknecht 6-4, 3-6, 2-6, 6-2, 6-3. A bit of a surprise. That might be the most surprising of these losses, considering how Davidovich Fokina have been playing well, making the DC final. I did skip over 16th seed Jakub Mędrzyk. He fell to French qualifier Hugo Blanchet 7-6, 6-7, 6-3, 4-6, 7-6. Really, Mędrzyk, another one, hasn't had the best results since Miami, so I don't know, definitely disappointing result for the Czech. And then 30th seed Brandon Nakashima, he fell to Swiss qualifier Jerome Kim 4-6, 7-6, 7-5, 3-6, 7-6. All these scorelines are absolutely insane. But a few seeds who had a pretty easy time out there on day 4 were Carlos Alcaraz and Ben Shelton, who are still on that collision course to the quarterfinals. Carlos made quick work of Matteo Bellucci, winning 6-1, 6-love, 6-3. He gets 32nd seed Luciano Darderi next, and if Carlos makes the 4th round, he would get the victor of an all-French affair between Benjamin Bonzi and Artur Rinderknecht. Shelton, meanwhile, defeated Spanish veteran Pablo Carreño Busta 6-4, 6-2, 6-4. He now gets fellow lefty Adrian Manarino, who did beat him in the Australian Open 3rd round in 2024. But Ben, he did just get a win over the French veteran, winning 6-2, 6-3 in Toronto. Meanwhile, both Taylor Fritz and Novak Djokovic, who are on a collision course to face off in the quarterfinals, they struggled in 4 sets in the 2nd round today. Djokovic dropped the opening set in a tiebreaker against 22-year-old American qualifier Zach Schweida before rallying back to win 6-7, 6-3, 6-3, 6-1. Fritz, meanwhile, he was put to the test against big serving South African Lloyd Harris. He took that match 4-6, 7-6, 6-2, 6-4. Taylor, he has a little bit of time to get his act together. He faces qualifier Kim next, whereas Novak, he faces off against Cam Norrie next in the 3rd round, which I think Novak should still win that match. But Francis Tiafoe, he is still lurking for the Joker. He got a really tough 4-set win over American Martin Dam. Dam has really impressed me, by the way, with his run to the 2nd round after qualifying, so keep an eye out for him. But anyways, Tiafoe, definitely keep an eye out for him for maybe causing that upset, especially after Rune lost. But also, Thomas Mahach, got to keep an eye out for him. He is a potential 4th round opponent for Fritz after defeating Joao Fonseca in straight sets. Looking ahead to day 5, Iga Swiatek and Jannik Sinner start play once again on Arthur Ashe. I think that Sinner-Popyrin match should have been a night one for sure. But anyways, speaking of the night session, Coco Gauff takes on Donna Vekic, whereas Tommy Paul faces off against Nuno Borges. Then on Armstrong, Lorenzo Musetti opens play, followed by Baptiste in Osaka, and then Alexander Zverev and Amanda Anisimova take on the night session. I really think that Baptiste Osaka should have been on Ashe in the day, but it is what it is. And then also Venus Williams and Leylah Fernandez, they will play doubles with one another on Grandstand. Also, I forgot to mention this in the video, but Jack Draper, he did pull out of the U.S. Open today due to an ongoing arm injury. So that's also why some of the matches are like this. I think he would have been on Armstrong. He would have played Zuzu Bergs, who got a walkover into the 3rd round. So prayers up to Jack. I hope that we will see him back and at least finish the season healthy and maybe qualify for the year-end championships. That is all I have for this. It was a fun video to make, I must say, but that's all I have for my Day 4 U.S. Open recap video. And let me know your thoughts on the Ostapenko and Townsend drama. Are you Team Taylor or Team Jelena? And then also give your thoughts on some of these upcoming matches and if you think that Fernandez and Raducanu can upset Sabalenka and Rybakina. Again, make sure you all subscribe and click that notification bell so you are notified whenever I post my Day 5 US Open recap video as well. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support, and I will see you all next time here on Christian's Court.